as usual, I'm just going to give a couple of minutes for people to show up. You know what I'm like, it's impromptu. If Spirit says talk, I go, okay. But just so you know, we did finish our meditation with the T23 group. That went quite well. Lots of clearing, lots of attunement facilitated, which is why I'm up at this hour anyway. It's 5:30 a.m. where I am, so probably a good time to have a chat. So I'm just giving a wee moment for people to pop on. I know that your notifications sometimes don't work, but there's not much I can do about it. YouTube is doing YouTube, so you know. So okay, we got one person. That's good. I know it's working. And you know what I'm like. Even if it's one person, if that's the person who's meant to be there, that's what we need. Oh, we see more people. Fantastic. All right. So let's just give a little bit more time for peeps to show up. Let's give them a little bit of space, a little bit of room before we get into stuff. Okay. Let's see who's here. Hello, Nacha Libre. Hello, Tamika. Oh, hello, Soelema. Am I saying that right? Hello, Kimberly. Hello, Marinette. Hello, Aminga. Hello, Medea. Hello, Janice. Hello, Andrea. Okay, good. Everyone seems to be in good spirits. I'm happy to see that. Hi, hi. Hello, Divine Artistry. Good. So I think, and Medea, of course, shout out to her. She's my sis. And we had a lovely time in New York together. And she always loves to stay in touch. Hopefully, at some point, she was supposed to visit, but let's see what happens with the pandemic. Hello, Star. Hello, Grace. Okay, we got a good crowd. We got a good crowd. All right, so let's get into the topic. Oh, okay, more people are coming in. Hello, roses and bees. So let's get into the topic. I know we don't do it here like other channels, which is all about, we just get straight into the stuff. But for me, it's about the community. That's why this is happening. It's about the people. So, if you don't recognize the people, sometimes I'm like, yes, we have to do this now. But, if we don't recognize the people, generally speaking, there's no point in doing any of this. Hello, you. Hello, Michi. Michi made it this time. I'm very happy. So, that's good. So, yeah, couple of things are happening. Couple of key things are happening right now. We actually see hours away from the Sun Jupiter opposition. Sun's at 27 Leo, Jupiter's at 27 degrees Aquarius in retrograde. So let's talk about that. We're also going to be seeing Uranus stationing retrograde, and we're also going to be seeing on the same day Jupiter sextile the galactic center. Oh, we got more peeps. We got Magneto. Hey, Magneto. We got Amanda. Hi, hi. So let's talk about those things today, and let's see what it means for all of us. Now, it's funny. It's so funny. As I'm sure you would have seen on my community wall, I got this ridiculously. Oh my God, it was so much a projection. I just could not stop laughing inside when I read this. I got this terribly worded comment from someone who was very triggered by the fact that I wasn't allowing love and light people to dismiss their use and the threat that it does pose for many people. And I wrote a very nice point by point response, and I was just laughing my ass off. But I also realized that this person had just screwed themselves quite badly for the alignments that have been mentioned. As we are heading into the Sun Jupiter opposition, the thing is that this is a time where we need to be using social media, technological tools, and our means of connecting with others as a means of expansion. Not expansion for the sake of expansion, but expansion to what is natural, to what is needed to further and awaken our consciousness. And I do bless that person. As a there's a commentator called Marissa, and she came up with this phrase when we were on Facebook together. She would say, "Bless him and move on," because there was this woman who just kept saying the most awful things, and she would just follow up with saying something awful with the word bless you, bless you, bless you. So my friend Marissa, she scared the living crap out of her. And she was like, come on. And the person who was saying all this shit was called Michelle. She was like, come on, Michelle, just bless me and move on. Bless me. And that freaked out Michelle, and Michelle went running. So whenever Marissa sees something like this come up, she tells me, just bless them and move on. So, that's what we're doing. But effectively, this is a time where this is a time where our collective awareness needs to be treated with respect, and that respect is key. Now, remember, in my previous video, I was talking about where individual responsibility is key in bringing collective awareness, and everything I'm saying here does not invalidate that. It still starts with a strong sense of individual presence. But when we try to look at the collective level, we have to understand that we as individuals have an effect on the collective. And what we say and what we do has a ripple effect. And that's why what we say and what we do, whether it's social media, whether it's spiritual work, it's something that we need to be so careful about. That's what taking responsibility, having integrity, having autonomy, being in authenticity means. It means also being aware that you have an effect that is greater than yourself. And some people can see, some people can see that as a egoic power expansion thing. But anyone with any experience in the spiritual journey will know that the more connected you are, the more subtle you need to be. Yes, once in a while you need to throw it down. But a lot of the times it's about listening, it's about watching, and it's about knowing when to make targeted interventions and if those interventions are necessary. So with this person, what they've basically said into, the person who's saying nasty shit to me, that's the collective experience that they're tapping into. That's what they have given the collective. And my response was, let's take this and make people smile. And they did, so it's on the wall in case you want to read it. But effectively, we all need to take responsibility for what we bring to that collective space right now. Do you be honest, stay with integrity, and pay attention to what you are saying and what you are putting out into the world? If you are doing something that is disrespectful, that is dismissive, that is abusive, or something that is laden with projection, you're going to be setting yourself and the people who come into contact with your energy more of a proclivity to experience that particular path and that particular aspect of learning. And that's where a lot of responsibility needs to be taken at this time. And I see the numbers dropping. Yes. Sky Priestess, tell me how my ego is going to bloom during this alignment. Don't tell me what I need to do and how I need to rein it in. That's what's happening. But effectively, you need to look at how you as an individual are putting your imprint, your footprint onto the collective waves. And social media is a big deal. When people write to me, I don't see it as just some random person. I look at the collective energy behind it. Why would someone do this? Why would someone take such a powerful opportunity of a Sun Jupiter opposition to push themselves in a direction of hatred? That's each individual's choice. Unfortunately, sometimes people find positions of unresolved anger, unresolved ego, unresolved hurt and trauma as empowering for themselves. And that's the garbage that gets placed into the collective. And that's exactly what I don't want any of you to be doing. If you're listening to me and if you value my words, you will also value that this next 24 hours is very significant. What you do, what you say, how you carry yourself, whether or not you realize it, is creating a much larger ripple effect. And if what you want to do is to cause harm or to judge or to dismiss or to denigrate, I'm sorry, but you are putting yourself onto some very harsh lessons. But that would be your choice. So, what the reason why this particular Sun Jupiter opposition is bigger than others, I would say, is because at the same time, Jupiter is sextile the galactic center, and that is a huge alignment. A sextile is basically a 60-degree angle between two bodies that gives you a bridge of opportunity. And you need to use this bridge of opportunity to make the most of the situation. If you have anything near 27 degrees of Cancer, if you have anything near 27 degrees of Cancer, that of course will become a yod or a finger of fate. Now, effectively, When you've got the Jupiter galactic center sextile, yet it's basically what I said. Through your actions with others, with groups, in collective meditations and group work, in social media and technology, you are creating a ripple effect with the galactic center. And the galactic center is what pushes and pulls you to different paths of truth. So people are choosing their paths, and it is your choice how to respond to them. I know some people say don't respond to them, they're trolls, whatnot, whatnot. But effectively, sometimes it's important to walk away, and I certainly do that. But sometimes, especially when at moments like this, it's very important to also just state who you are and walk off with the mic drop. That's also an important thing that you need to do, especially when your energy is getting pushed upon at this time. Naturally, there are also other things happening in the skies, as there are always other things happening in the skies. But, Michi has a south node at 29 degrees Cancer. That should be interesting. Pay attention to what comes up with your emotions. Now, I would say this is the biggest message. This is the biggest message: awareness and accountability. You don't need to be some great spiritual savant to know what that is. At the end of the day, for me, it's never about how many years you've been doing something, what title you got, what ceremonial robe you got, what temple you got. That doesn't mean anything to me. What means something to me is, are you a decent human being? Are you doing the best that you can? And have you taken accountability for what you are doing? That's what honestly matters to me in looking at a person, you know? And that's the lesson. Nacha Libre makes good point. They say, I have a hard time with social media. It's hard to see how polarized people are on that and how nasty they can be. It's like they can't recognize each other's humanity. Well, they can't. They're looking at a bunch of pixels. In a lot of the animosity and the acrimony that comes through social media and collective events, especially through the virtual world, can be mitigated when people just talk it out when they see each other. That doesn't mean to say that such things don't happen in person. Of course, they do. But it's harder for you to cast projections on someone whom you think that's just made up of a bunch of pixels somewhere. But when you actually see a person, when you talk to a person, when you basically just show up with presence, it's a lot harder for that to happen. And unfortunately, social media has its limitations because it doesn't really, do that. But yes, I fully take on your point, Nacha. That's why I left Facebook. Now, interestingly, we also see Jupiter trined Haumea. Haumea is at 27 degrees of Libra. And there are lots of indigenous asteroids and so on and so forth. I just don't talk about most of them because I feel like I need to have a right to talk about them. Just because you know something doesn't necessarily mean that it's your knowledge to go and spout. There's also that. But this one I feel comfortable talking about. Jupiter at 27 degrees of Aquarius, trines Haumea at 27 degrees of Libra. If in doubt, listen to the master teacher. Listen to the master teacher, and the master teacher or teacheress, or whatever word you want to use, is the earth. We do not listen to the earth enough. And I mentioned that the last time as well. People tend to try and project their shit on how they think they need to fix the earth, but they don't actually just listen to what she is. So if you are in doubt, if you're feeling anxious, if you don't know what to do, drop everything and go and hug a tree or put your ear in the grass and listen. Listen to what it says. If you cannot say anything good about yourself or about anybody at this time, just listen to the earth. If there is nothing empowering that you can think of doing and nothing aligned that you can think of doing, and yes, talking about trauma is a very empowering act as long as you're not, sitting into that cycle and kind of getting off on the projection of victimhood. As long as you're not doing that, it's that's also a positive thing to do. But if you feel you just don't know what to say, you just don't know what to do, listen to the earth, and you will have a lot more answers that you actually need. Grace says, Dr. B out here decolonizing relations to the living sky and earth. Very cool, very cool. Janice says, I don't have TV and only use Instagram, no news on my phone and no radio. Life has been really nice since I cut social media out. I hear you. I hear you. I use it because I have to, but I'm not. I'm not really a social media person, to be honest. Um, though YouTube is cool. At least I can see your responses in lifetime. And most of you get the flow of what's going on here. But yeah, that's those are the key things I wanted to talk to you about. We also do see Uranus stationing retrograde at 14 degrees Aquarius. So sorry, 14 degrees Taurus. So people are going to be a little extra grouchy today. You know, people are going to be a little extra grouchy today. They are going to be more triggered. That's not an excuse for bad behavior, though. It's basically just an awareness that people are going to need the time and need the space to sit with themselves. And unfortunately, people don't do that enough. They don't do that enough, possibly because they're not going to like what they hear. That's why they externalize their experience through someone else's philosophies or someone else's ideas. But really, your solutions are within you to begin with. So the Uranus retrograde comes to an end in January 2022. So we're going to be revisiting a lot of the different layers of awareness that we would have experienced in the past couple of months within the next few months that are coming. So take more time to sit with yourself, sit with your own wisdom, sit with the energies of the earth, because that will guide you and that will sustain you. Honestly, for me, spirituality is very simple. There's a lot of complex things out there, yes, but the foundations are very simple. The problem is we try to put too much into it because there's a lot of spaces the ego can hide the more you try to complicate something. Just stick with a very simple, clean, and clear practice with the earth, and you will be, you will be a lot better. Let's see. Divine Artistry wants to know when. Um, Depending on which time zone you're in, it's about January 17, 18, around that time. So no, not near your birthday. Let's see. Brass Neck says, "Wow, I'm ready." Well, that's cool. Ready for what? Okay, let's see. Let's see if there are any other questions. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask. Um, with respect to what we're talking about here, remember, take accountability for the energies you bring into a space, including this one. Because honey, it is going to backfire on you so hard if you try to pull your own stuff. So, yeah, if there are any questions that are related to this or any areas that need a little bit of clarification, now's your time to ask. So I'll give you a little bit of time to figure some stuff out. Meanwhile, I'll just check and see if there's anything else that needs to be said. Hmm. Is there anything else that needs to be said? Hmm. Let me see. Mm, okay. Divine Artistry says, "Lol, let's try to let's try to stay ready. I don't know how. I've been so humbled by spirit lately. Can't run away from self. Good. Honestly, I I really wonder. I mean, I don't really wonder. I know it's people's insecurity, but if people actually knew anything about me or about the way I live my life every day and how much of it is getting my ass kicked, figuring shit out, helping people, making sure they don't get their ass kicked, clearing energy, listening to what's happening, trying to find a space of equilibrium, listening some more, doing my best to stay focused. If people actually knew what my life was actually about, I just don't. I don't see how anyone could see this as a process that's in any way self pedestalized, you know? There's just like the more humble you get, the more you will trigger people. And I can tell you, life has certainly humbled me. And I think it does, especially for anyone going through who has gone through yourself. Your Saturn return is a big humbling process. And really, life just teaches you more and more humility. Oh, okay. Yessie wants to know. I missed the tier 23 meditation. I'm going to email the link. I already did, Yessie. Check your email. Grace wants to know, oh, so is it a good time to pull back from facilitation like convos online? Yes, I wouldn't recommend doing it right now. Honestly, I would say, and it's very hard to facilitate grief work online because social media and social media platforms do create a distortion. I mean, I've really been trying to use TikTok. I really have been. I've tried to force myself to look at videos, but I just do not like the energy of the platform. It's a case of just maintaining a bit of a brief presence there, but every platform has a certain vibe. YouTube's different though. YouTube, I really like looking at those videos where people just play music for hours live, like something calming or relaxing, or even something sad or sentimental. And you see people basically writing love notes to others. Like love notes, as in, I hope you're doing okay, whoever you are, or someone sharing a painful experience and people coming to their aid. I've only ever seen that on YouTube. I've never seen that on other social media platforms, but then again, I'm not hugely savvy. Um, let's see. Mm-mm. Janice says, where should I be putting my energetic focus right now? Janice said, honestly, I mean, to answer that question in a general sense, look at where your energy is being drained and look at how you can heal that. That's where I would say you need to focus right now. Now, Grace has done something which I have not needed to do in a while. I haven't needed to look at a word. So thank you. She says spirituality is very quotidian. That's an excellent word. I used to remember what that was. Basically, spirituality is a daily practice. Yes, it is. Samantha says, my sun is Pisces, I'm Aquarius rising. Cool, cool. Um, let's see. You says a lot of father wounds is coming up, also repressed anger. Thank you for bringing that up. We actually are seeing today, if we go to now, come on, let's go to now. We see that a couple of hours ago we did have Mercury conjunct Mars. And that would certainly bring up a lot of wounds surrounding the masculine archetype, surrounding that experience that needs healing, that needs greater articulation. So we will also see Mars representing, in the sense, the masculine archetype. Mars will also be doing something later. Yes, Mars at 13 degrees Virgo will be opposed Nessus, the abuser's asteroid, at 13 degrees of Pisces. So yes, thank you for adding that to collective awareness. I was wondering, should I mention it or not, or if this is too much. But yes, there's certainly a time where a lot of these old wounds that have come through life cycles are also coming up for review, and also understandings of what masculinity is, however you choose to define it. I mean, there's an absolute space which I love and respect and adore for expressions that are non binary, that are trans, that are beyond the spectrum. But then there's also a space for binary expressions as well. They're all valid. One does not invalidate the other. So, let's see. Grace says, thank you, Dr. B. Hope you're taking good care. I'm trying. I am trying. It has been hard, but I'm glad my brother's here to help me and I'm here to help him. But, oh, it has been very rough. Tusana says, a ton of content promotes disassociative scrolling. I agree. This is why I love my Instagram, because most of my Instagram are pictures of cats and cartoon cats and comics about cats. This is why I can enjoy my Instagram. Michi says, Dr. B, the stereos opposing Neptune gift us with being able to identify that energy easier? I like that question. Okay, so Therius's energy can provide that gift, but only if you learn to see it as a gift. If you don't learn the lesson, it's just going to kick your ass and you're going to get confused about it. So learn the lesson first and then it becomes a gift. A bit like Chiron in that sense. Roses and Bees says, so grateful today. Yay, yay, very good. Um, okay. Let's see. Divine artistry. Oh my God, yes, mother and father wounds for me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, remember, divine artistry, you can't expect somebody else's energy to change. You can only expect your energy to change, and people will respond to you one way or another. The less you expect another person to change for you, the happier you will be in life. Focus on you and allow you to be a natural influence one way or another. Don't try to control, don't try to expect. I know it's hard, but that's really the way you can have healthy connections even within family. Stump Feltwich, gender affirming surgery done. Good. Aftercare on the part of the surgeon clinic. Rat fucked. Oh dear, that does not sound good. Oh, I'm sorry you had a bad time with the surgeon. Mm, that sucks. That really sucks. I hope you can find care that actually cares about you. You says thank you. Michi says makes sense. Thank you. You're most welcome. I mean, of course, we are also seeing Boracity, the energy of the false light at 27 degrees of Pisces, squared the galactic center at the same time, in conjuncting the sun at the same time. So there's also a lot of illusion, delusion, and distortion in the skies. I mean, I noticed that sometimes people I don't expect will get triggered or will want to like no longer engage with me. Sometimes I realize that over time, people do let in a lot of illusions and a lot of glamours, and these glamours and illusions actually push them away from the roads that would actually help them on the path that they would actually need to be on. I see this sometimes with people who, other energies, other stuff might not like them listening to what I have to say, but eventually they'll come back and they'll be like, shit, I should have heard this. So I also want you to be aware that there is an external energy that is pushing towards more distortion, that is also making it harder for people to see the truth, see the path that they need to be on. Whilst you can have compassion for that, you can understand that certain people are more sensitive. But certain people are more sensitive to, distortion and manipulation and deception at a spiritual level. You can't exactly use that as an excuse. At the end of the day, no matter who we are, and this is true for everybody, this is a standard I hold myself to as well. In fact, I recently saw like someone I'd consider a master, and there was an aspect of spirit that she wasn't aware of, but that ended up in her getting very injured. And I just said, look, you have to take certain responsibility. You know, you have to take responsibility for what you have learned, how that happened, how you allowed that to happen, and integrate the information. And because she was already at a certain level, she took it just like that. But and yes, there are levels in spirituality. There absolutely are. But rather than thinking of them as hierarchies or pedestals, think of them as attunements. So it's not like you're there or here or whatever. It's about, are you able to tune into this bandwidth? Are you able to tune into a wider bandwidth? Are you able to tune into a wider bandwidth? In that sense, there are different levels of spiritual attunement and, of course, different levels of spiritual wisdom. And and people learn. Sometimes it takes a real kick in the pants to basically go, oi, I have been listening to the wrong shit. I have been listening to the wrong shit. So at times like this, question if the path that you are on is actually something that you believe is real, or is it something exploiting your blind spots. And it's a good time to be asking those questions. And if you feel suddenly that you get turned off by someone who is resonating with you, and you believe in what they say, but something says no, 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 run away now, you got to focus on that middleman voice and ask yourself, is that real, is that legit? A lot of people pedestalize who they think are their guides. And sometimes their guides, as I was saying in my Tier 23 meditation, are very sus because they're not really there to help, they are there to harvest. So you need to be very careful as well with what information you are getting from disembodied beings because not all of them are benevolent. Let's see. Divine Artistry passed out at 8 p.m. after cake. Very good. I think that's great. Um, Medea asks, yet isn't our work in terms of clarity and ownership regarding distortion? I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you can rephrase, that'd be great. Carolina asks, you mentioned the path of least resistance during the Tier 23 meditation. Can you talk more about this? Okay, some people talk about the path of most resistance and the path of least resistance, and there's so many different ways that you can conceptualize this. Sometimes the path that is for you is graceful and effortless and breezy, and everything is like dandelions and little baby ducks and unicorns. Okay? But sometimes the path for you is literally jumping off a cliff, breaking your bones, getting up again, climbing your way out, fighting something, and then jumping to the next cliff. Sometimes that is your path. And there's no real way to be able to know which is which for everybody. Spirituality is not a gentle experience for everyone. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. Some people are here to sit in a certain bandwidth and frequency and enjoy life. Great. Ignorance is bliss. Fantastic. And some people will keep pushing and pushing and pushing that envelope. And the more you push, not push as in a pushing, but the more you actually work at expanding your awareness of the bandwidths, the more you will see the need for subtlety. And the more you will actually see the delicacy and the finesse it actually takes at a daily level to be a spiritual practitioner that is not harming yourself or other people. And when I was referring to this in my Tier 23 meditation just now, it's like if something seems too good to be true and everything is lining up perfectly, effortlessly, sometimes, yeah, you got a good divine team, you got a good set of ancestors, they're pushing you exactly where you need to be at the right moment at the right time. And sometimes it's the other guys. Sometimes there are energies that literally will try to seduce you by making things seem very easy and very attractive to choose. So, in that sense, just because something may seem more effortless at this time doesn't necessarily mean that that's your part. That can very easily be a part of the deception that is going on. Let's see. Okay. Right. Nacha Libra says it's happened to me so many times in life, lol, realizing I'm listening to the wrong thing. I think it happens to everyone. I just don't think that people admit it because they feel like they will lose their standing if they admit that they were wrong. I mean, I try my best for to maintain accuracy in my work, but if I'm not sure, I'll be like, if I'm not sure, I'll be like, you know what, this is what I think, this is my opinion, this should not be your reality, but this is what I have to say, this is what I'm sensing. As long as you are open to the idea that you might not know anything that you are doing, that you might be a complete nincompoop, and you're willing to look at that once in a while, you should be okay. Because no matter how experienced and how skilled you are, you always have to have that humility to check. And this is what I find when the clearer I get about that message, the more I get projections about being arrogant or high and mighty or whatever, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, have you not listened? But that's the nature of projection. The more I ask people to be accountable for their energies and to be humble about what they know and what they don't know, the more they're going to get triggered. That's what it is. Okay, Samantha asks, how does one know if you're on the wrong path? That's a hard one because because first of all, right and wrong is a very slippery thing to experience. But there are some parts that are more aligned with what your soul really wants, and there's some parts that are not. So if you feel like deep down inside you what you're doing just doesn't feel right, you're probably not on a path that suits you. Medea says we must own and be aware the path to work regarding distortion and distraction as you go through the levels. You cannot pass through until acknowledgement of lesson and work involved in lessons. Yes, but that doesn't mean that the distortion goes away. The people whom I consider masters have to face it every single day. They have to keep working at it. You have to keep working at it, and just because you may be at a certain spiritual awareness doesn't mean that problems stop. Whoever told you that was not you personally, Medea, but whoever told people that, um, yeah, telling them something, because we are only getting, as we are individually and therefore collectively stepping up into more complex spiritual alignments and configurations, we're going to have to constantly, you know we are going to have to constantly keep looking. um Davi says she loves me. I think Davi is a lady. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I can't tell from the name, but thank you. The love is appreciated. Thelma says greetings, greetings. Angela sends a heart. Very good. Uh, oh, okay. Davi is asked the interesting question. How do I feel about pharmaceutical companies in relation to Ayurvedic healing? I am assuming you're referring to basically people using herbs from indigenous cultures and traditions and commoditizing them. Okay, Davi says I'm a feminine man. Okay. So I'm guessing the pronoun is he. I'm guessing. But feel free to let us know. How do I feel about it? I think that, honestly speaking, um, as long as you respect the land and as long as you respect the people who care for the land and compensate them fairly, I don't necessarily think that this is a bad thing. But the problem is that baseline compensation and that baseline respect is often not there. And that's where the issue comes. Because at the end of the day, if you're helping a farmer feed their family, what is wrong with that? Just make sure that they get paid properly. Okay, so anybody else? Or shall I sign off? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Just giving a sec for people to come forth if there's anything else that needs to be said. Okay, so far nothing. Still waiting. Um. Oh, okay. We have questions. Divine Artistry says, I came across a guy who didn't think he had any more growth to go through. Oh my God. Bless him and move on. Darby says, it's a wonderful day, but don't wander too much. I'm a hermit, honey. I'm probably going to be around where I usually am. Michi says, appreciate you. Thank you. Grace says, Dr. B, a friend keeps having nightmares. Any advice for her? Depends on the nightmare. Sometimes it's something's not right in her room or in a living space. Sometimes it's something on the astral realm. It's really too broad a question to generalize. But if she can try using either carnelian or lepidolite under her pillow to see if I'm assuming it's a her. Yeah, either carnelian or lepidolite to make sure that she has some safety. Um, okay. Taylor Spatz Johnson asks, is now a time to focus on joy? It's always a time to focus on joy. I don't think there's a time where you shouldn't focus on joy. But that's just me. I would say yes, with the sun in Leo, absolutely. Take your joy and go do things with it. Go do good things with it. And sometimes, recognizing joy also needs you to recognize sorrow, and that's okay too. Um, Chiron says, have you even listened? I'm finding myself saying that a lot. Grateful for starting to see where the energy doesn't match up. Good job. Divine Artistry said, I thought he was more advanced than that. Reminder from Spirit telling me not to put anyone on a pedestal. It's true. Don't put anybody on a pedestal. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Thelma says, what do you feel about having to get COVID vaccination for job opportunity? Individual choice. You have to weigh the costs and benefits in your situation. I can't, that's no generalized answer that I can give for that. Oh, Michi asks, Dr. B, what is your take on the stone kyanite? Kyanite is a wonderful bridging stone. I was actually thinking about this stone yesterday or the day before. I say if you want to explore kyanite, try black kyanite. Black kyanite is particularly cool and very, very healing to the meridian system. Black kyanite. Black stones. They got power. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's probably about time to sign off. I send all of you love. I send all of you peace. And just remember, there are going to be projections. Sometimes the best way for you to do is ignore it. Sometimes the best way for you to do is to just say, nope, no, thank you, not my business. Now, one hot tip before I let you go. I have been really enjoying. Uh, okay. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. All right. Now, Dijin says, hello, Dijin. Yes, I had heard, but I didn't know it was because he had taken the vaccine. But okay. Thank you for putting that information here. Um, let's see if there's anything else. Um, mm, 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 mm. I was about to say something. Ah, yes, hot tip. So I have really been enjoying watching this channel because I told you I'm trying to acclimatize myself to TikTok, but I just don't, I still can't get the hang of it. But there's one lady's channel I really like. Her name is Jeannie Weenie. The thing is JEENIE dot WEENIE, and she's a flight attendant. And she basically does the cutest, most passive aggressive sketches of terrible passengers that she's met on flights. And if you're feeling shit about people being shit to you, please, you know, look at that particular YouTube channel. It will make you laugh. It made me laugh so much. Orbacron says, I like your name, Orbacron. It sounds like a Transformers. Today of all days, the questioning of people stuck in 3D reasoning. Indeed. Divine Artistry says, is there a channel I recommend for mantras? Nope. Andrea says, got judged and did not judge them for judging me yesterday by a so-called homie. Good job for not judging. Roses and B says, is it cool to visit indigenous lands? I'm in Illinois and have been thinking about this. That's hard. Why don't you go talk to the land, like meditate on it and ask for a clear answer? And I think it's very respectful that you want to do that, and that's a good sign. If the land wants you there, you'll know. And if it doesn't, it's okay. Maybe it's doing its own thing. Grace says, Ginny Winnie, she's hilarious. Yes, she is. She's awesome. Absolutely awesome. I also like her makeup stuff. That's quite cool. Darby says, mudras. Mudras are, well, there's a lot of good resources online, but then mudras are like medicine. You can't just generalize something because everybody's elemental balances are different. So if you don't know what you're doing, you can screw yourself up. Same thing with mantras, same thing with mudras. You need to be sure if that's actually fit for you. Just because something says this will increase your fire energy, great, but what if you already have an imbalance? So best dealt with a lot of discernment and a lot of self-awareness. Mackie says, been listening on the drive home. Close family just had a double mastectomy, stage 1 breast cancer, holding space for her, asking all for some healing vibes. Those who feel inclined to do that, do so, but generally speaking, it's not a good idea to be doing that here, especially at this time, just because you don't know who might be sending you vibes. In fact, this is an example of a story that recently I had to see, and someone actually got very, very badly psychically hit by a Reiki facilitator. They were not a bad person, but they didn't know what they were doing, and they were also not aware of what energies they were bringing in. So during the Reiki session, instead of actually providing the client healing, the practitioner actually ended up seriously damaging that person. So I appreciate your thought for your friend. It's just not. It's not a good idea to open it to the floor that way, to be honest, because you really don't know who is sending things in the name of healing. Even Reiki can get hijacked, honey. But if you want, if you trust me to do it, I'll definitely send a quick prayer for her. If you email me with her information, I'd be happy to do that. But just bear in mind, even Reiki, even healing modalities can be hijacked. Archangel Michael is apparently half Indian. Interesting. Greetings. Um, okay. So, all right. Oh, yes, Grace raises a very good point. Some people in East Asia and diaspora are also wary because this is Ghost Month. When is the Hungry Ghost Festival? And Mackie, if you need me to do something, please just email me, okay? It's the Sky Priestess with the in front, because someone else says skypriestess at gmail.com. So that person is probably getting all kinds of weird shit. So, yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Grace. Yeah, the Hungry Ghost Festival is coming up as well, Sunday, the 22nd of August, and that's a time where a lot of it's kind of like how, well, I guess you could say it's kind of like Halloween. It's kind of like Halloween, but you see a lot of Chinese people burning paper houses and so on and so forth to go and appease their spirits. Um, Dabi, where are these questions coming from, man? Caste system, is it still prevalent? What does this have to do with anything we're talking about right now? Yes, the caste system is still very alive and well in India, and no, I reject it entirely. It's stupid as fuck. Grace says ends on the 22nd. Yep, there'll be a big feeding of the hell spirits. Correct. Dijin says full moon too. Indeed, Dijin, you may want to go back to the beginning of the conversation as well. And yes, the full moon is also coming up, and that's why they celebrate the Hungry Ghost Festival. So it's definitely a time where you need to be very, very aware of what is going on in the spirit worlds, especially with this kind of energy coming through. Each culture understood things. Veronica says hi, says finally caught you live, very good. 22nd is full moon, correct. But again, please go back to the beginning of the video to see what we're actually talking about here. Darby says, I really just respect your intelligence and opinions on many subjects. I thank you. Most welcome. But remember, what you're putting into the collective now is what is coming through. So if you're putting fear, if you're putting hatred, if you're putting anxiety, if you're putting worry, you're only going to get more of that, especially at this time. So just be very, very aware of that and take responsibility of what you're bringing. If you're bringing the vibration of death in a heavy way, not in a way that celebrates life, death, and the cycle of birth, rebirth, that's what you're going to be bringing. If you're bringing in the vibration of confusion, that's what's going to be coming in. So just be very, very aware of what you're bringing in. Drop what the mind is thinking and go into what your spirit actually wants. So, with that, I think I'm going to sign off. And I send all of you many blessings. I send all of you much love. And yeah, ciao, ciao for now. Bye bye.